Welcome to day 7. So today we're continuing on in our journey talking about the core 4. Today we're drilling down into balance. And so constant reminder of why we do the core 4. We do not do the core 4 because we want to add more stuff to our list. We do not do the core 4 because of a bunch of should. We do the core 4 to access greater levels of power. And so when you are connected with your queen, when you are connected with your children, you are accessing greater levels of power. I know initially, at least for me, it's felt like I should. I should connect with my queen. I should connect with my kids because I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good husband. But that's all driven out of guilt and shame, and that is not how we're going to be driven by. We're going to be driven by courage. We're going to be driven by love. We're going to be driven by higher emotions than guilt and shame and fear. So we're connected. So we've tapped into power in our body. We've tapped into power in our being. Now we're going to tap into power when it comes to our connection with our bride and with our children. Okay, and so when it comes to the core 4, the game here is really, really simple. And again, it's something that fits in the quadrant of important but not urgent. Okay, these activities that we're doing in our core 4 are not urgent. But we're connecting with our bride and with our kids. And so you can do this in a variety of ways. The way we encourage you to do this through the core 4 and warrior is through a message. Okay, and you can do this through text message. You can do this through social media. You can do it through a phone call. You can do it through a written word. You can do it however you want. But it's something that's so tangible, but yet simple to do. And so I started out with my kids with writing them little notes on Post-it notes, because when I started doing this activity, my kids didn't have cell phones. So I wrote little Post-it notes and I would stick them on their door, on their mirror. Those Post-it notes you can still find throughout our house. And so when it comes to your children are going to respond in different ways to these messages. And so then later on, as they got cell phones, I would send them text messages, or I would send them a picture, or I would send them a video message. I'm just wanting to communicate with my bride and with my kids. And so for my bride, I found out that the text messages, she would just overlook. She wouldn't pay attention. So I found for her, it makes it more valuable for us to sit down face to face, eyeball to eyeball, connect. And so how I do this with her is I take 5 minutes and we pray together. Okay. The big thing is not how you do it, is that you're doing it, is that you're intentionally taking a couple of minutes to connect with your bride and with your children. It's something on that you're doing in your core 4. Why? To tap into greater levels of power. Now, another aspect of this that I want you to see is that you're doing this for your bride, but you're doing it for yourself as well. You're doing this for your kids, but you're doing it for yourself as well. Okay? They're receiving something out of this, but you, just in the act of giving it, actually reinforces how you view yourself. I want to be a great dad, so I just did a great dad thing by taking 5 minutes and sending my kids a text message, or writing them a note, or sending them a video message, or sending them a picture. Okay, something. By just taking that level of time, I'm reinforcing how I view myself. I'm a great husband. I'm a great father. Guess what that does for me? It taps into power. Okay, it allows me to go about my day with greater levels of power, because now I'm ridding myself of that guilt and that shame of, I'm not a good dad, I'm not a good husband. No, see, those are core identities for us that we must reinforce who we are. I am a great dad. I am a great husband. And so when it comes to our core 4, remember, we're not trying to hit home runs. We're just trying to get on base. Okay, so that's why these messages are so important, because it's not something that takes a vast amount of time, but it's still super important. Okay, here's another way that my dad did this for me. See, my dad was a hardworking man. He worked long hours. He had to get up early in the morning. And so this is something he did. This was so simple. It took my dad 10 seconds a day to do this. But at 47 years old, I still remember my dad doing this. He would open my door and he would say, "I love you, son." And then he would leave. 3 words. But I remember that. It stuck with me. And so this is so important. And so this is, again, it's simple, but it's important. So what am I doing for my kids? I'm empowering them to start the day from love and acceptance with those simple words. I love you. I'm communicating to my bride, I love you. I'm communicating to my kids, I love you, in simple yet profound ways that allow me to tap into greater levels of power and strength. So now, as you get deeper into this, you'll find that then we kind of rotate these, okay? Because I found out if I sent my kids a message every single day, they would just eventually ignore it. Same thing with my wife. If I sent her a message every single day, she would just eventually ignore them, okay? So now I rotate. And so I'll normally send my kids a message like once or twice a week. Same thing with my bride. But for her, I'm making sure I'm sitting down eyeball to eyeball, knee to knee, and we're praying together, because I found that method means more to her than sending her a text message. So you'll find as you do this that there's different methods that connect with different people on a greater level, okay? So when I would send a text message to all three of my kids, my son would very rarely respond. My middle daughter would sometimes respond, and my youngest daughter would almost always respond, okay? And so I found out later in life that those messages meant something to my son, but he just never communicated that to me. So if you're waiting for that feedback, for them to go, oh, thanks so much for the message, you may or may not get that. Okay, remember, you're doing this just as much for you as you're doing it for them. So the core, and so then so those other days, man, I might send a message to my mom, or send a message to my dad, or send a message to a friend. What am I doing? I'm continuing to flex that muscle. Now I'm going deeper down into my identities. Not only am I a great husband, I'm a great father, I'm a great friend. I'm a great son. Like, you just continue to reinforce these identities in your mind, which have you access greater levels of power, okay? Because you are getting rid of these lower emotions of guilt and shame. You're tapping to higher level of emotions of courage and of love and of joy and of peace. This is where we want to exist, but it's a choice that we have to make. Now, again, this is about consistency. It's not about this takes a massive amount of time. No, it's about consistency. Every single day, I send a message to someone, a message of love, appreciation, honor, encouragement. Guess what that does? Just gives me a little bit of a feeling like, yeah, that was a really good thing to do. Okay, so this is super simple. So, Warrior, we used to label these our partner and our posterity, but now we've just said person one and person two. So you'll see that in your app when it comes to your Core 4 checklist. It just says person one, person two. So you're sending out a message to two people. And again, this can be as simple as typing something out, or it can be doing a voice memo, it could be sending a video, but you're just connecting with somebody. This does not take a lot of time, but it's powerful. It's very, very simple, but yet it's profound. Okay, so that's your assignment today, is to simply do this. If you've seen this in the Core 4 and you're wondering why it's there, this is your assignment today, is to simply do this. And so as a part of your Core 4, you're stacking every single day, and this is the balance portion of your Core 4, tapping into greater levels of strength and power through relationships, okay? And as we've talked about with the Core 4, these, you cannot separate these. These are all interwoven together. This has been the craziest thing Harvard did. Harvard did a study over a 70-year period, tracked men from the time they were in college till now in their 80s and 90s. And you know what they found to be one of the greatest indicator of health and longevity? Our connection or lack thereof with other people. People who had healthy relationships had healthy bodies. People who had healthy relationships had healthy minds. People with healthy relationships tend to have healthy careers. This aspect of our life, it affects every other aspect. And we will tap into that strength at our own benefit, or we will deny it at our own peril. Okay, so again, this is another example of something that is important, but is not urgent. And unless we do it the first thing each morning, we're probably not going to do it. This allows you to tap into greater levels of health and strength and vitality, because the stronger you're going to become, the less you're going to be tempted and drawn to those things that we want to sedate with. Okay? With pornography. If you're disconnected from your queen, you're going to be drawn to pornography more. If you're disconnected from your family, you're going to be drawn to alcohol more. You're disconnected from healthy relationships, you're going to be drawn to all these destructive tendencies in our life more and more. So this isn't about avoiding the bad things. This is about building up the healthy things in our life, which will therefore diminish our desire for the distractions, the diversion, and how we want to sedate the feelings that we're feeling. This is so simple. Do not run past this, gentlemen. Do not run past this. The exercise of the core four is so simple, yet so profound. If you'll get up today and hit a single in the balanced relationship quadrant of your life, it's going to allow you to continue to access greater levels of power. Okay, so your assignment today, if you've not done it yet, send a couple messages to the people that you love in your life. See what can happen in your life and in your relationships. 3, 2, 1, off you go.